Yeah. So I have a friend who showed this to me years ago, and he had a spreadsheet, and it has 5 names on it, 25 names on it, and 150 names on it. And he reaches out to the 5 names multiple times a week, the 25 names weekly, the 150 names monthly. And he's in a line of business that's a very people heavy thing. And he's a very, very disciplined person. I've never been able to fully replicate the pace of that. So I
Yeah.
shoot for 5 weekly, 25 monthly, and 150 quarterly. And he uses a spreadsheet. I think for many people, like CRM is a more effective, more robust mechanism
We
for
would
that.
agree.
Yeah. But the nuance that I really liked about it was the 5 are not the people that are in a buying window in his case, or like he thinks are the hottest leads. The 5 are the people who have an acute need that he can help serve them. And so that could be, I'm about to raise money. It could be, I need to hire a CFO. It could be, I just got a new job and I'm trying to get integrated in my first 90 days and I'm underwater and I don't know what to do. It could be, I just lost my job. It could be even personal stuff, like I just had a kid, or I just got a cancer scare and I need to find like the best specialist for whatever. But there are 5 people in his network that he's like, I'm going to make a material investment in these people over the next month or so to try to just go completely above and beyond to help them. And I'm not going to ask for anything in return. He is a long-term relationship thinker. And the only way this works is if you think that way. And if it's not like, hey, now I did this for you, I helped you out with your whole cancer thing, why don't you send me some leads? You know, like that's not, you're not going to stick with it. And people can smell that, right? And so he trusts that over a year, he's going to make this material investment in 20 people, 25 people, whatever it is. And over 10 years, 20 years, or whatever, he's got this pool of people who would step in front of a train for him because of that. And so I loved it. And I've tried to model it as best I can. It just was so impressive to me. And it turns networking, or whatever you want to call it, networking, business development, whatever it is, from this transactional, me-focused thing into something that I feel like is just much more life-giving and makes my work so much more enjoyable. And it requires a leap of faith, right? It requires that I believe I am not doing this because I have a revenue target, but I trust that if I do this, I'll hit my revenue target, and it'll happen in ways that I don't entirely know or understand or fully appreciate. And it doesn't mean that you don't do the other stuff. It doesn't mean that you're not sharing thought leadership. It doesn't mean that when a buying window does present itself, that you aren't disciplined about trying to nurture that relationship or move them through the buyer's journey. It doesn't mean any of that kind of stuff. But in addition to that, there are people who might become potential clients that I do that for, because 10 years down the road, there might be a buying opportunity. There are people who aren't even ideal buyers who might know ideal buyers. Because I think that's the other thing that people don't realize when they think about referral. I think everybody assumes that the one source of referral is people who I've worked with, who I did good work for, who then refer me to other people like them. But there's a much bigger pool of referrals that are people who just know what I do and think that it's interesting and they like me as a person. And I went way above and beyond to help them at some point in their lives. And then a friend of theirs, they're playing golf or whatever, and a friend of theirs mentions that they're trying to find someone. So they're like, oh, you need to talk to Jake, right? Because, that is an indirect source of referral that it's much harder to systematize, which is why I think people don't think about it as much. So anyway, but it's a different way of thinking about it. It's long-term. It's service oriented.
It's long-term, and it may be more essential now than ever when people have all the information that they need at their fingertips to make a buying decision. So you have to have that extra element, don't you? There's got to be some secret sauce beyond the traditional playbook.
Yeah. And I just think it makes your job more fun. I mean,
Right.
it's a way to integrate your life and your work in a way that I think is really compelling.